Seniors, warning! This superfood can trigger memory loss. Not all so-called superfoods are as safe as they seem, especially for seniors. Soy has been praised for years as a heart-healthy, plant-based protein. It shows up in powders, milk, snacks, and even supplements, marketed as a smart choice for longevity. But research now reveals a hidden risk: too much soy, particularly in processed or concentrated forms, may actually interfere with brain function and memory. Seniors, whose brains are already more sensitive to diet-hormone interactions, may experience sharper declines when soy is overused. What looks like a health booster on the surface can, in reality, quietly harm memory. If protecting your memory and independence matters to you, subscribe now and join this community. Each week you'll discover trusted, senior-focused health insights designed to support energy, brain strength, and longevity. Share your experiences in the comments. Your story could help another senior avoid silent dietary risks. The human brain is a remarkable organ, but like every part of the body, it changes with age. After 60, these changes become more noticeable, and the brain grows more sensitive to outside influences, including diet. Foods that were once harmless or even helpful in midlife may have different effects in later years. Understanding why the brain is more vulnerable helps explain why certain so-called superfoods, like soy, can trigger memory problems when consumed in excess. One key factor is slower blood flow to the brain. As arteries stiffen with age, less oxygen and fewer nutrients reach brain cells. This reduced circulation means the brain depends more heavily on balanced nutrition to function well. Anything that disrupts blood flow, such as high-sodium foods or poor hydration, can make thinking slower and memory weaker. Similarly, foods that interfere with normal brain signaling may have a stronger impact simply because the brain no longer has the same reserve capacity it once did. Another important change is in brain chemistry. Levels of key neurotransmitters, the chemicals that carry signals between brain cells, decline naturally after 60. Acetylcholine, which plays a central role in memory and learning, decreases, making recall more difficult. Serotonin and dopamine, which regulate mood and motivation, also fall with age. With these natural declines, seniors become more sensitive to foods and compounds that mimic or alter brain chemicals. Isoflavones in soy, for example, can act like estrogen and influence neurotransmitters, creating unintended effects on memory. The blood-brain barrier, a protective shield that keeps harmful substances out of brain tissue, also weakens with age. This means that compounds from food, medications, or even environmental toxins can enter the brain more easily. While this barrier still functions, it is less selective than it was in youth. Foods with strong chemical activity, even natural ones, can cross into the brain more readily and alter how neurons fire. Seniors therefore face a higher risk of brain disruption from dietary choices compared to younger adults. Hormonal changes add another layer of vulnerability. In women, the sharp decline in estrogen after menopause removes some of the hormone's natural protection for the brain. Estrogen helps regulate blood flow and supports memory pathways, so its loss increases sensitivity to diet and lifestyle. In men, testosterone also decreases with age, reducing brain resilience. Foods that mimic or interfere with hormones, such as soy, may have amplified effects in this context, altering brain function more strongly than they would in younger individuals. Inflammation is another hidden factor. With age, the body enters a state known as inflammaging, chronic, low-grade inflammation that slowly damages tissues, including the brain. This makes seniors more prone to conditions like Alzheimer's disease and vascular dementia. Certain foods can either calm or worsen this inflammation. While antioxidants in fruits and vegetables protect brain tissue, some compounds, even from healthy foods, may fuel inflammation or disrupt the balance of brain chemistry. When this happens repeatedly, memory and focus begin to suffer. Finally, the brain loses some of its ability to repair itself after 60. Neurons that die are not easily replaced, and the connections between them, known as synapses, weaken faster. Sleep, exercise, and nutrition all play critical roles in preserving what remains. When the diet includes foods that interfere with neurotransmitters, hormones, or circulation, the brain has less capacity to adapt. Over time, this results in noticeable lapses in memory, slower thinking, and reduced concentration. The takeaway is clear: after 60, the brain becomes more vulnerable because of natural changes in circulation, chemistry, barriers, hormones, inflammation, and repair capacity. Seniors cannot assume that foods marketed as superfoods will always be safe. In fact, some, like soy in concentrated forms, can quietly tip the balance in the wrong direction. Protecting memory requires not only eating nutrient-rich foods but also recognizing which ones may be too powerful or disruptive for the aging brain. Soy has earned a reputation as one of the world's great superfoods. For decades, it has been promoted as a plant-based alternative to meat and dairy, praised for its high protein content and its supposed benefits for heart health. From soy milk in the refrigerator to protein powders on health store shelves, soy shows up almost everywhere. For many seniors trying to eat healthier, it seems like an easy, natural choice. But the reality is more complex. While soy does contain beneficial nutrients, its effects on the aging body, especially the brain, are not always positive. Part of soy's appeal comes from its nutritional profile. Soybeans are rich in protein, fiber, and minerals such as iron, calcium, and magnesium. For seniors looking to reduce red meat or avoid lactose, soy milk, tofu, or soy protein powders appear to be good replacements. In populations where soy has been consumed for centuries, such as in parts of Asia, lower rates of heart disease and certain cancers have been observed. These associations gave soy its early superfood status in Western diets. However, what many overlook is the difference between traditional soy foods and modern, heavily processed soy products. In traditional diets, soy was often fermented, as in miso, tempeh, or natto. Fermentation alters the compounds in soy, making them easier to digest and reducing potentially harmful effects. In contrast, modern soy foods, powders, supplements, soy protein isolates, and soy-based snacks are processed in ways that concentrate certain compounds, particularly isoflavones. These concentrated forms are not consumed in the same way in traditional diets, and they may pose risks when eaten daily in large amounts. Isoflavones are plant-based compounds that mimic estrogen, the hormone that regulates many functions in the body. This hormone-like activity is one reason soy has been praised, especially for women after menopause. Some studies suggested that isoflavones reduce hot flashes and protect bone health. But the same estrogen-like action can also affect the brain. In seniors, whose hormone balance is already shifting with age, isoflavones may interfere with normal signaling in ways that harm rather than help memory. The promise of soy as a heart-protective food has also been challenged. While early studies suggested that soy protein lowers cholesterol, later research has shown the effect is much smaller than once believed. The U.S. Food and Drug Administration even considered removing its health claim for soy's cholesterol benefits because the evidence was inconsistent. For seniors, this means soy may not be the heart-protective superfood it is often advertised to be. Another issue is the way soy is used in supplements and protein powders. Many of these products contain highly concentrated soy protein isolates or extracts, delivering levels of isoflavones far beyond what would be found in natural foods. Seniors who rely on soy powders for shakes or bars may unknowingly expose themselves to much higher doses of these compounds than their bodies can handle safely. While a small serving of tofu may not pose a problem, a daily soy shake or supplement could increase the risk of memory impairment. It is also important to consider the individual differences in how people process soy. Some individuals have gut bacteria that break down isoflavones into compounds that are less active, while others produce forms that are more potent. Seniors with reduced digestive diversity may metabolize soy differently, increasing their sensitivity. This means that two people could eat the same amount of soy but experience very different effects on their brain and memory. Soy is not inherently harmful, but calling it a superfood oversimplifies the truth. For younger adults in moderation, it may provide some benefits. For seniors, especially when consumed as processed powders or supplements, the balance shifts toward risk. Memory, hormone balance, and thyroid function are all sensitive to the compounds in soy, and overuse can tip the scales in the wrong direction. The reality is that no single food deserves to be called a cure-all. Soy may be helpful in small, traditional forms, but seniors must be cautious of its modern, concentrated versions. Behind the marketing promises lies a truth that needs more attention. For older adults, soy is not always the safe, protective superfood it is claimed to be. One of the most concerning aspects of soy for seniors is its content of compounds known as isoflavones. Isoflavones are phytoestrogens, plant-based chemicals that mimic estrogen in the body. For decades, these compounds were praised for their potential to protect bones and relieve menopause symptoms. But recent evidence shows they can also interfere with brain function, particularly memory, when consumed in high amounts. To understand why, it helps to look at how the brain uses estrogen. Estrogen is not just a reproductive hormone, it also influences blood flow in the brain, helps protect nerve cells from damage, and supports communication between neurons. After menopause in women, and with gradual hormonal decline in men, the natural levels of estrogen drop. The brain adjusts to this new balance. Introducing large amounts of estrogen-like compounds from soy can disrupt this delicate adjustment. Isoflavones can bind to estrogen receptors in the brain, essentially tricking the brain into responding as though estrogen is present. But the effect is weaker and inconsistent. In some areas of the brain, this partial stimulation may be enough to alter signaling, but not enough to provide true protection. Seniors may feel no immediate effect, but over time, this subtle interference can add up to problems with memory, focus, and recall. Research has shown worrying connections. The Honolulu Asia Aging Study, which followed thousands of men over decades, found that those who ate tofu, a major soy food, most frequently had significantly worse memory and cognitive function later in life. They were more likely to show signs of brain aging and even shrinkage of certain brain regions. The study concluded that high soy consumption, particularly in midlife and older age, might increase the risk of cognitive decline. Other studies have examined soy isoflavone supplements. In one trial, postmenopausal women who took isoflavone pills for several months performed worse on certain memory tests compared to those given a placebo. Researchers suggested that the estrogen-like effects of isoflavones might interfere with normal brain signaling in older adults, even if they were helpful for other parts of the body. This highlights the complexity of soy. What benefits one system may harm another, especially in seniors with more fragile brain chemistry. The effects are not the same for everyone. Younger women, still producing some natural estrogen, may respond differently to soy than older women who have been postmenopausal for decades. Men, too, can be affected, especially since isoflavones can influence testosterone balance as well. The brain sensitivity to hormones decreases with age, but that does not mean it is immune. Rather, it means the wrong signals at the wrong time can cause lasting disruption. Isoflavones may also influence memory through their impact on thyroid function. The thyroid gland produces hormones that regulate metabolism, energy, and brain activity. Some studies suggest that high soy intake can interfere with thyroid hormone production, especially in people who already have low thyroid function. Since thyroid hormones play a role in mental clarity and memory, any disturbance can make seniors more forgetful, fatigued, or mentally foggy. Another pathway is through inflammation and oxidative stress. While soy contains antioxidants, high isoflavone intake has been shown in some studies to increase markers of oxidative stress in the brain. This stress damages neurons and makes it harder for them to form and maintain connections, the very networks that store memory. Seniors are already more vulnerable to oxidative damage, so this added strain from diet can accelerate decline. It is important to emphasize that soy is not universally harmful. The risks come from excessive or concentrated intake, such as frequent servings of tofu combined with soy milk, soy protein powders, and isoflavone supplements. Traditional diets that include small, varied amounts of soy, often fermented, do not show the same risks. The danger arises when soy is treated as a daily superfood in large quantities, especially for seniors whose brains cannot adapt as easily to hormone-like influences. The hidden link between soy and memory loss is this: what seems like a gentle, natural compound is actually a powerful hormonal mimic. For seniors, the balance of brain chemistry is delicate, and tipping it even slightly can affect memory. While soy can still be enjoyed in moderation, overuse or reliance on soy-based supplements may quietly erode cognitive strength. Recognizing this link helps seniors make informed choices about what truly supports brain health in later life. When doctors caution seniors about soy, they often point to the growing body of research that connects high soy intake with memory decline. These studies highlight a truth that marketing rarely mentions: while soy may carry some benefits, it also carries real risks for the aging brain. Understanding this evidence allows seniors to make balanced choices and avoid silent harm. One of the most widely discussed pieces of evidence comes from the Honolulu Asia Aging Study, which followed over 3,700 Japanese American men living in Hawaii for more than 30 years. Researchers tracked their diet, including tofu consumption, and measured brain health as the men aged. The results were striking. Men who ate tofu at least twice a week had more memory problems, worse test performance, and even physical changes in brain size compared to those who ate little or none. The researchers concluded that high soy intake in midlife was linked to greater risk of cognitive decline in later years. This study drew attention because it was large, long-term, and carefully controlled. The men were generally healthy and lived in the same environment, so diet was a major factor in their differences. Doctors often refer to this research when explaining why soy may not be as safe for seniors as once believed. Other studies have examined postmenopausal women, who are among the largest consumers of soy supplements. One clinical trial gave women isoflavone pills for several months and measured their memory and thinking skills. Surprisingly, the women taking soy performed worse on certain cognitive tasks compared to those on placebo. The researchers suggested that the estrogen-like compounds in soy were interfering with brain signaling in ways that hurt memory rather than helped it. This finding challenged the belief that soy is universally protective for women after menopause. Animal studies add further support. Experiments on older rodents fed high soy diets showed changes in brain chemistry, including altered neurotransmitter activity and reduced learning ability. While animals are not the same as humans, these results suggest that isoflavones can directly affect how the aging brain functions. Not all studies show harm, which adds to the confusion. Some trials suggest modest benefits of soy for bone or heart health, and others show no clear effect on cognition. However, doctors caution that the pattern of evidence is mixed, and when it comes to protecting memory, the risks appear more consistent than the benefits. In particular, studies involving high intakes of tofu, soy milk, or isoflavone supplements repeatedly raise concerns. Another important factor is the form of soy consumed. Whole, fermented soy foods like tempeh and miso seem to have different effects than processed soy protein powders or supplements. Fermentation may reduce harmful compounds and make nutrients more digestible. This may explain why traditional diets in Asia, which include soy in small, fermented amounts, do not always show the same risks as modern Western diets filled with soy shakes, bars, and capsules. Doctors emphasize this distinction when advising seniors: the source and processing of soy matter as much as the amount. The research also points to individual vulnerability. Seniors with thyroid problems, for example, may be more sensitive to soy's effects because isoflavones can interfere with thyroid hormone production. Since thyroid hormones influence memory, mood, and energy, even small disturbances can worsen brain function. Seniors with slower metabolism or less diverse gut bacteria may also process isoflavones in ways that increase their potency, making them more susceptible to memory decline. For these reasons, many doctors recommend moderation. Eating soy occasionally, especially in whole or fermented forms, is unlikely to cause harm. The concern lies in daily, heavy consumption: tofu at dinner, soy milk at breakfast, protein powders in between, and supplements on top. This kind of intake pushes isoflavone exposure far beyond what the body can safely handle, especially after 60. The evidence is clear enough that seniors should be cautious. While soy is often marketed as a miracle food, research shows that it can quietly undermine memory when consumed in excess. Doctors want seniors to understand that natural does not always mean harmless, and that the brain after 60 is more sensitive to these dietary influences. The safest approach is moderation, variety, and awareness, not reliance on any single superfood. The good news is that seniors do not have to give up soy entirely. Like many foods, the risk lies in the amount and the form. With a careful approach, it is possible to enjoy soy's flavor and convenience without harming memory or overall health. The key is moderation, choosing traditional forms, and knowing safe alternatives. The safest way for seniors to include soy is in small, whole food portions. A modest serving of edamame beans, miso soup, or tempeh is very different from daily protein powders or large amounts of tofu. Fermented soy products, such as tempeh, miso, and natto, are gentler on digestion and have lower levels of active isoflavones. They also provide probiotics, which can support gut health, something that indirectly benefits the brain. These traditional foods were designed to be eaten in moderation as part of a varied diet, not in concentrated doses. On the other hand, soy protein isolates and supplements are where risks rise. Powders, bars, and capsules often contain high levels of isoflavones in a concentrated form. These levels are far beyond what traditional diets ever included. For seniors, especially those with thyroid concerns or memory complaints, avoiding these concentrated products is a wise step. Doctors often remind patients that supplements are not as carefully regulated as foods, making it harder to know exactly how much is being consumed. Portion size also matters. Eating soy occasionally as part of a meal is unlikely to trigger problems. The concern begins when soy appears at breakfast as soy milk, at lunch as tofu, and in the afternoon as a soy shake. This steady exposure builds up the isoflavone load, creating the very conditions linked to memory loss in research studies. Seniors benefit most when soy is treated as an occasional food, not a daily staple. For those seeking alternatives to soy for protein, many options exist. Eggs are an excellent source of high-quality protein and nutrients such as choline, which supports brain health. Beans and lentils provide plant protein along with fiber, which stabilizes blood sugar and supports gut function. Nuts and seeds, such as almonds, walnuts, and sunflower seeds, add healthy fats and minerals that also protect memory. Fish, particularly salmon, sardines, and mackerel, supply omega-3 fatty acids that directly support brain cell membranes and reduce inflammation. By rotating these foods, seniors can meet protein needs without depending on soy. Another strategy is to focus on balance and variety. Rather than relying on any one food as a superfood, seniors gain more protection by combining different nutrient sources. Leafy greens, berries, whole grains, and healthy fats all contribute to brain resilience. This diversity reduces the risk of any single food tipping the body's chemistry in the wrong direction. Doctors often reassure patients that it is not necessary to completely avoid soy, unless there is a specific medical condition that requires it. The main guidance is to avoid excess and to be especially cautious with supplements. If memory concerns or thyroid issues are already present, limiting soy further may be advisable. For those who still enjoy soy occasionally, sticking to traditional, whole forms in small amounts is the safest path. The bottom line is that seniors do not need to fear soy, but they do need to respect its power. Isoflavones are active compounds, and in excess they can affect the brain. By choosing fermented varieties, limiting portions, and leaning on other protein sources, seniors can enjoy a balanced diet that supports memory rather than harms it. Protecting memory after 60 requires more than just avoiding certain foods. It also depends on actively choosing foods that nourish the brain, reduce inflammation, and stabilize energy levels. While soy in large amounts can interfere with memory, many other foods have the opposite effect, offering real protection and support for long-term brain health. By building meals around these choices, seniors can strengthen not only memory but also mood, focus, and independence. One of the most important categories is leafy green vegetables. Spinach, kale, and collard greens provide folate, vitamin K, and lutein, all of which support cognitive function. Studies have shown that seniors who eat 1 to 2 servings of leafy greens daily perform better on memory tests and have slower rates of cognitive decline. These foods nourish neurons, help regulate blood flow in the brain, and provide antioxidants that calm inflammation. Berries are another proven ally for memory. Blueberries, strawberries, and blackberries are rich in anthocyanins, compounds that protect brain cells from oxidative stress. Oxidative stress damages neurons over time, reducing their ability to communicate effectively. Seniors who eat berries regularly often report sharper focus and better recall. Clinical research supports this, showing that blueberries, in particular, improve memory and delay age-related cognitive decline. Omega-3 fatty acids found in fatty fish such as salmon, sardines, and mackerel are critical for brain cell membranes. These healthy fats improve communication between neurons and reduce inflammation in the brain. Seniors who consume omega-3 rich fish at least twice per week show better preservation of memory and a lower risk of dementia. For those who do not eat fish, plant-based sources like flax seeds, chia seeds, and walnuts provide some omega-3 support, though in smaller amounts. Nuts and seeds also play a role in protecting memory. Walnuts, in particular, contain compounds that improve signaling in the brain. Almonds and sunflower seeds provide vitamin E, an antioxidant strongly linked with slower cognitive decline. A small handful of nuts daily is enough to deliver these protective benefits without overwhelming calories. Stable blood sugar is another cornerstone of memory health. The brain relies on steady glucose for energy, but spikes and crashes, often caused by sugary or refined foods, stress neurons and impair concentration. Whole grains such as oats, quinoa, and brown rice provide slow, steady energy. Combined with protein and healthy fats, they prevent the rollercoaster effect that disrupts sleep and thinking. Seniors who replace white bread and desserts with whole grains and fruit often notice improved clarity and energy within weeks. Hydration is also vital. Even mild dehydration can cause confusion, poor focus, and headaches in seniors. Drinking water throughout the day, rather than relying only on thirst, keeps brain cells functioning properly. Herbal teas and water-rich foods like cucumbers or melons contribute as well. Limiting caffeine and alcohol in the evening supports both hydration and sleep, which together preserve memory. The message is not that soy must be completely avoided, but that seniors must treat it with caution. High intakes of soy, especially processed or supplemental forms, can interfere with memory by mimicking hormones and altering brain chemistry. This risk is magnified after 60 when the brain is more vulnerable. The path to protecting memory lies in moderation and balance. Small amounts of whole or fermented soy may be safe, but relying on soy as a daily superfood can quietly harm the brain. Instead, focus on proven memory-supporting foods, leafy greens, berries, fatty fish, nuts, seeds, whole grains, and adequate hydration. These choices calm inflammation, strengthen neurons, and stabilize the brain's energy supply. Seniors who shift their diet in this direction give themselves the best chance of preserving memory, independence, and quality of life. By looking beyond the hype of superfoods and building a plate of truly supportive foods, the brain can stay sharper for longer. Protecting memory is not about any single food but about consistent, balanced choices made every day.